So what position should I play in football? This presentation is to help you decide which football position on the field is going to be the best one for you to pursue, which one is the best one for you to play. Maybe you're a youth football player, middle school, maybe you're going out for football for the first time in high school. What football position will be the best one for you to go out for you to pursue? Let's take a look at this. All right, first of all, you got to look at what are your talents? What are your abilities? What are your God-given abilities? And we'll look at this, and this will help determine which position is best suited for you. All right, are you a fast runner? Are you agile? Are you quick? Maybe you're a bigger and heavier person. Or maybe you're just an average sized person. Or maybe you're not very big at all. All right, so what positions on the football field are these physical attributes going to call for and where you would be a good fit? Also, are you going to be aggressive? Are you more timid? Do you like the contact that football has? All right, is football even the right sport for you to be playing? Honestly, is football the right sport for you to be playing? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's take another closer look. First of all, wide receiver. Do you have what it takes to be a wide receiver? Let's look at the attributes of wide receiver. These guys are going to be fast, quick, and agile. All right, they're going to have the ability to make sharp cuts on the football field. Stop and turn different directions quickly. They're going to have great hands to catch the football on a consistent basis. All right. Also, they have to be tough. They have to have mental game to remember all the different routes that they have to run. Especially in today's passing games, that pass-heavy offense. This picture right here is of my son in his senior year of football. He played a tight end, wide receiver type position where he would play outside as well as inside. And there was a ton of plays, a lot of different things to remember. All right. On offense, you're going to have a lot more stuff to remember if you're a part of the offense generally. Defense won't be as much stuff to remember. Also, as a wide receiver, you're going to have to be strong enough to block defensive backs. And you're also going to have to be strong enough to shed off these backs in these one-on-one situations. Sometimes you'll be isolated, and it'll be like kind of a jump ball situation, and you'll have to fight off a defensive back and pretty much fight for the ball and catch it. And he's going to try to catch it or knock it out of your hands. All right. Also, when you're catching the ball, can you catch the ball with people chasing after you, running after you? They're going to try to be preventing you from making the catch. And the ball's not going to be where it's not like throwing it in your backyard with your dad throwing it right at you every time. When you're playing wide receiver, you've got to be able to run a route, run good routes, cut hard, and get your hands up and look the ball all the way in and catch it, then tuck it, and then turn upfield, and try to get more yards. All right, so when you're playing wide receiver, the majority of the time the ball is not going to be exactly where you want it. It's just not going to be there. You have to be able to catch it, down at your knees, above your head, behind you, all kinds of things like that. Let's move on. Let's take a look at another position on the football field. See if you think the next position is going to be the right one for you. Quarterback. These are the guys that are generally the stars of the team. A lot of times they're going to be a leader for the team out there. The offense runs through the quarterback in football. A lot of times they're considered to be like a coach on the field. If you're going to be a quarterback, you're going to have to be dedicated to knowing the offense that your coach wants to run inside and out. Is it a running offense or is it a passing offense? A lot of time a coach is going to have an offense that goes well with what their quarterback's abilities and skills can do. If you don't have a great arm but you're a super fast runner and very quick and elusive, then it may be more of a running type of offense. Are you going to have a strong arm to get the football down the field? Or are you going to have an accurate arm to put the ball in the best place for the receiver to catch it? An example of someone who maybe didn't have the strongest arm in the NFL that we're talking about here is New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees. Super accurate passer. He's always been a super accurate passer. Not the strongest arm, but cool under pressure. Super accurate. Tom Brady also not the best athlete by any means. Everybody knows that in pro football, but Tom Brady is also extremely accurate with the football. All right, and that's going to be a priority. If you're super strong and can throw it, 60 yards or something like that, 50, 60 yards. It doesn't matter if you can't hit a guy on an out route on a consistent basis. So a lot of that is timing and putting the ball where the receiver is going to be, not where he is when you see him. You're going to have to lead that passer. Those are the kind of things that you're going to have to, those kind of skills that you have to work on and develop. Also, as a quarterback, with today's football, running is super important. Are you going to be athletic enough to make good plays with your feet and scramble and make plays when, plays break down? And sometimes that's a problem for some quarterbacks, that maybe they're just pocket passers and they're not super fast or super quick with their feet, but maybe, they like to throw the ball. But what if the play breaks down? Are they just going to tuck the ball in and take the sack? Are they going to keep looking downfield and spin out and, zigzag around and run a little bit and make plays with their feet? I've seen that in high school football quite a bit in the past couple of years. Watching my son play, where some successful teams that we played, their quarterbacks were super fast, super quick, and, defensive linemen would come and try to get them, and they would just elude them, keep running around. Either they, make a big play with their feet running down the field, or they'd scramble around and keep looking down the field. And next thing you know, they see somebody, kind of like playing flag football almost. They're running around, and you're just making a play when the design play breaks down. And finally, a quarterback's going to be a highlighted player, the highlighted player on offense generally. Can you take all of the glory which come, and also the criticism? All right, you're going to be able to handle that pressure playing quarterback. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the quarterback. If things are going wrong, the quarterback's going to catch a lot of the blame. If things go well, a quarterback gets a lot of the glory as well, right? Things to think about playing quarterback. How about running back? These guys are going to be some of the fastest guys on the football field. They're going to have to be able to be elusive to avoid tacklers. The defense is coming after you. They're trying to tackle you. You're going to have to be able to make the needed cuts and read the holes that the linemen are making for you. You're going to have to hit those holes fast and be able to make a cut as a defender comes up, a linebacker, maybe a defensive back coming up to try to stop you. And, you're carrying the ball. People are coming after you to tackle you pretty much straight up. And can you handle that? Are you going to be comfortable with that? All right. Are you going to be strong enough to shed off some tacklers and pick up more yards after contact? That's an important statistic in football today. You take a first hit, but, do you go down with a first hit every time? Or can you spin out? Are you tough to bring down? Do you have strong legs that keep driving? You see that in a lot of today's football players. They're super strong in their legs. They squat. A lot of running backs have real strong squat lifts in the weight room. That's something that you need to think about. Also, running backs need to be, smart enough to know all the plays and recognize when to pick up blitzes and things like that. Sometimes they'll have to block, especially in the passing game. Also, can you catch the ball out of the backfield? All right, if you're only a big bruising running back and you don't have good hands, you've got to be able to catch the ball. The passing game is so important in today's football. And if you can't catch the ball very well, then you may be only a first and second down back, or maybe a short yardage back. But if it's a third down and, 3rd and 8 or something like that, you might have to be a running back that'll, run a little swing route out of the backfield and catch the ball. But if you don't have good hands and you can't catch the ball consistently, your coach will take you out when it's a 3rd and long, and because he doesn't have confidence in you being able to catch the ball. Also, running back again is going to be a highlighted player on the field. Can he take the fame along with the criticism? If you fumble the ball, something like that. So those are things to think about playing running back. Now, if you think you might be an offensive lineman, this should be something that should be fairly obvious. Generally, a coach is going to look at you a lot of times, and just based on your size and what they're familiar with you, when they look at you, they're going to assume, like, if you're a big, heavy guy, that you're just going to probably be a lineman, either an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. All right, well, let's look at offensive linemen. These guys are going to be big and strong. A lot of times, they're not just going to be, I don't want to say call people fat or anything, but they're not just going to be big, heavy guys, but you're going to have to be agile. All right. There are larger people, to put it nicely, that are not necessarily cut out to be offensive linemen. You're going to have to be big, but in football, you're going to have to be agile. All right. Now, offensive linemen might not be quick, might not be fast guys sometimes, but at least can they move their feet well? Can they get around pretty well? All right. Can you move your feet quickly? And some people I've seen that are big, and maybe they just don't have very fast feet. But if you're a bigger, heavier guy, but you got really quick feet and can move pretty well, not necessarily run fast, but just kind of move really well, that's what you need. That's what they're looking for, all right? A lot of times the offensive linemen are going to be, heavier, obviously, than skill positions. Good feet, but not usually not needed, again, to be super fast and be able to recognize and remember all of the different blocking schemes, all right? An offensive lineman is going to have a little more to remember than a defensive lineman because they're going to have to know, they're going to have to understand the offense, where the play is going, what play side of the field the play is directed. Are they going to be pass blocking? Are they going to be driving down the field trying to run block? Are they picking up linebackers in the second level there to block? Is it a sweep play? Is there a pulling guard? Does a guard need to be pulling? If it's a pulling guard, you're going to have to be able to move really well to be a pulling guard. And a lot of times coaches are looking for players like that can be pulling guards. All right. Also, the offensive linemen, a lot of times when you get up to the higher levels of teams, these are going to be, good character guys, and they're going to be leaders of the teams. All right, a lot of times. All right. Not afraid of contact. Got to be aggressive to be an offensive lineman. Moving on. Defensive lineman. Maybe this is the right position for you. These are going to be some of the biggest, toughest, meanest guys on the football field. You can see the picture here in the top left corner here. These guys are going to be heavy. They're going to be strong. They're going to move really well for their size. These are not going to be big, usually big guys with super big guts. Now, every once in a while, you will see a heavier guy on a team that moves really well, and it does happen. All right, but they're not going to be just big, heavy, slow guys that are not athletic. You're going to have to get after it. A lot of these guys are considered some of the best athletes on the field because they're so big, but they have almost freakish athletic ability. All right, they're going to have to be getting after the quarterback. They're going to have a big, huge guy in front of them, trying to drive them back, trying to push them off, and they're going to have to be able to make moves to elude the arms of the offensive lineman, fight them off, fight off the blocks, get to the quarterback, or chase down a running back, get to the quarterback to make a sack. Those are the things that you need to do as a defensive lineman. They're going to have to be super aggressive, getting after it every play, and a lot of times defensive linemen get a lot of notoriety because they get to make quarterback sacks and they get to make tackles. So sometimes players like to play defense if they're a lineman more because they get to make tackles and they don't have to remember about blocking as much. They just have to just kind of get after it sometimes. So not as many things to remember usually as a defensive lineman. The linebacker checklist. These guys on defense, they're going to be big, strong guys. They're not going to be usually heavy guys. They're going to be kind of stocky, strong guys. A lot of linebackers today move really well. There's a lot of fast linebackers, especially when you get up to the NFL level. They're going to be well built for their size, kind of similar again to what traditional fullbacks might look like a little bit. Super aggressive and not afraid to make tackles. They're going to be always getting after it. Linebackers, they're going to always have contact, lots and lots of contact. They're going to have to be able to run down running backs on sweep plays. Sometimes they'll have to cover wide receivers coming out of the backfield. Linebacker has to do a lot of stuff, and a lot of great linebackers have played the position, and many great players in the past, like Lawrence Taylor, people like that. Lawrence Taylor was a Hall of Famer for the New York Giants. All right. Also, the linebackers are going to make defensive calls on the field. A lot of times, in the high school level, the linebackers will have to look over on the field and see the defensive coach, and they'll have to recognize the signals and what kind of defense they're playing. Are they playing a base defense, or are they playing a special defensive back coverage? They'll have to call that out in the defensive huddle. But a lot of times, again, on defense, things are not going to be as complicated as on offense. Defensive back checklist. These guys must be fast to keep up with the speedy wide receivers. They're going to have to be aggressive to be able to intimidate receivers. All right. These defensive backs are going to have to be good tacklers and to stop the running backs downfield. They're also going to have good vision to see both the ball and the receiver at the same time. Defensive backs are going to have to be alert. They're going to have to be able to read the quarterback, and they're going to have to be able to read the lineman a lot of times. What kind of blocking are the linemen doing? If they're doing pass blocking, then that's a key, obviously, as a defensive back. That, hey, guess what? The linemen are pass blocking. So as a defensive back, you're gonna have to be able to recognize and say, hey, if they're pass blocking, it must be a pass. But if you see linemen, driving ahead, blocking forward, hey, if they're running forward, if they're not backing up, guess what? It's a running play. Then defensive backs are going to have to recognize that, and they may have to come up with run support. If a running back, eludes a linebacker and gets into a big hole, and this, guess what? The defensive backs are the last chance that the defense has to tackle that big running back. And a lot of times those running backs are going to be bigger than the defensive backs. All right, so they're going to have to be really tough and not timid to come up and make those hits. Defensive backs, a lot of times, are going to have a lot of swag, so to speak. A lot of times they're out on an island, if you're a defensive back and you got this speedy wide receiver coming at you, this picture here of Richard Sherman for the Seattle Seahawks, he had a lot of swag. He's one of the better defensive backs in the NFL over the last several years. Some great wide receivers coming out trying to get touchdowns, and it's the defensive back's ability to try to prevent them from doing that. All right. And if a lot of times, if the receiver catches a touchdown, the defensive back is the only one there that can stop him. And so you're out there, people are seeing you, and if they catch touchdowns over you or on you, then everybody's going to see it. All right. And so there's no really way to hide out there. If the receiver catches a touchdown on you, then guess what? Everybody sees it, and everybody's going to be like, why'd you let him catch a touchdown? All right. Also, you're going to have good vision as a defensive back, again, to be able to see the field, be able to recognize run plays, pass plays, that sort of thing, seeing all over the field. Continuing. Kickers and punters. All right. You should know whether or not you would be cut out to be a good kicker or punter. Do you have a strong leg? All right. Do you have a soccer background as a kicker? A lot of today's kickers in the top left corner, you can see that kicker coming from the side. That is called a soccer style kicker. Years ago, kickers kicked from a straight ahead position. All right. Many kickers had these flat toed kicking shoes, and they kicked straight on. But with the advent of soccer and the popularity of soccer from young people playing soccer, a lot of these people growing up, these kickers today, a lot of them played soccer a lot when they were younger. They kick from the side, and pretty much that's a standard now. All of the kickers kick in a soccer style format where they kick from the side of the ball. No kickers kick straight on anymore. But if you look at some old football film, you're going to see kickers kicking field goals and things like that, standing straight in front of the ball and kicking it straight ahead with like a flat shoe straight ahead. All right. You're going to have to be accurate as a kicker. You may have a strong leg and be able to kick the ball well, but if you're going to be kicking field goals, you're going to have to be accurate. Now, if you're not accurate, but you do have a really strong leg, you could be just a kickoff kicker and just to kick back into the end zone, hopefully to pin the other team back on kickoffs after touchdowns, or at the beginning of the game, halftime, stuff like that. All right. For punters, can you turn your punts over consistently? All right. The ball doesn't need to be spinning around or wobbling around like a bird up there in the air. The ball, should be able to, you should be able to punt the ball, and it should be able to turn over and spiral nicely and come down with a nice smooth spiral. That's called turning the punt over on a consistent basis. You don't want to be shanking the ball, out of bounds and things like that. It's really upsets your coach if they're pinned back and they put their punter in. The punter punts punts one off the side of their foot or something like that, and it goes out of bounds. You got to be consistent as a punter to pin the ball back. Keep the other team pushed back. All right. Also, a lot of punters today can pin the ball, can aim the ball well. You see a lot of rugby style punters. There's a lot of punters coming today from Australia, and there's a big push in Australia to send punters over to America for punting. And some of the better punters in the world now are coming from the country of Australia, because they have that rugby background over there. So anyway, you don't have to be a rugby player. You don't have to be from Australia to be a punter, but you just have to know what you're doing. And you can be just a kicker and a punter only on the high school football team, and you can get a varsity letter if that's what you're worried about. Or if you don't like contact, kickers don't really have to worry about tackling people usually. Rare occasions something will happen, but You can be just a kicker and a punter on, many football teams. The coaches will be fine with that. If you're a great kicker, they're happy to have you, and you'll be a weapon for their team. All right. Same thing with a punter, really. All right. This right here is my new website that I've been working on very hard. It's called footballpassingmachine.com. And I'd like your help, please, checking that website out for me. There's plenty of information there on these football positions. I have a huge article there on what football position should I play, and it gives you a complete breakdown of all the things I've just talked about. This is on the blog page of my website. All right, so there's a whole lot more on this website other than just football passing machines. So check out the blog page, all kinds of helpful articles that I've written there on different types of gear, different kinds of products that you would need, what it's like going out for youth football as a parent, what things you would need as a parent, things like that, or what kind of football gloves you might want to wear if you're going to play football and you want to order gloves, or football practice gear, shoulder pads, and things like that. All kinds of articles there for you. All right. So check out footballpassingmachine.com. You can just type it in to your web browser, or if you want to, you can click on the link in the description of this video. All right. So I hope that this presentation was helpful to you. I know it was a lot to cover, but I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you can decide what position is best for you to play on the football field. Thanks for joining.